Hi, 6:30. It's Miss Carreri. Just here to read you some more of Dear Mr. Henshaw. And this is especially for Dennis because he asked about the book, and I'm so glad that he remembered about it. And now that we're done Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, we can concentrate on Leebots and see what mess he's getting himself into now, or maybe out of now. So if you can remember from last time, we left off with Leebot's dad giving him a $20 bill with a note on a napkin, like a sorry note, and he's deciding what he's going to do with the $20. And we still have the ongoing problem of the lunchbox thief, and Leebots really wants to solve this problem. So I'm going to go back just one page to jog your memory. So if you go on to Dear Mr. Henshaw, the PDF book, we're on page 95, and I'm going to continue. Saturday, March 3rd. Today I took my lunchbox and Dad's $20 to the hardware store and looked around. I found an ordinary light switch, a light battery, and a cheap doorbell. While I was looking around for the right kind of insulated wire, a man who had been watching me, boys my age always get watched when they go into stores, asked if he could help me. He was a nice old gentleman who said, "What are you planning to make, son?" Son? He called me son, and my dad calls me kid. I didn't want to tell the man, but when he looked at the things I was holding, he grinned and said, "Having trouble with your lunch, aren't you?" I nodded and said, "I'm trying to make a burglar alarm." He said, "That's what I guessed. I've had workmen in here with the same problem." It turned out that I need a 6-volt lantern battery instead of the battery I had picked out. He gave me a couple of tips, and after I paid for the things, a little slap on the back and said, "Good luck, son." I tore home with all the things that I bought. First, I made a sign for my door that said, "Keep out, Mom. That means you." Then I went to work fastening one wire from the battery to the switch and from the other side of the switch to the doorbell. Then I fastened a second wire from the battery to the doorbell. It took me a while to get it right. Then I taped the battery in one corner of the lunchbox and the doorbell in another. I stood the switch up at the back of the box and taped that into place too. Here I ran into a problem. I thought I could take the wire clamp meant to hold a thermos bottle inside the lunchbox lid and hook it under the switch. If I reached in carefully as I closed the box, the clamp wasn't quite long enough. After some thinking and experimenting, I twisted a wire loop onto it. Then I closed the box just enough so I could get my hand inside and push the wire loop over the button on the switch before I took my hand out and closed the box. I'm just going to show you a picture. Then I opened my box. My burglar alarm worked. That bell inside the box went off with a terrible racket. That brought Mom to my door. "Lee, what on earth is going on in there?" she shouted above the alarm. I let her in and gave her a demonstration of my burglar alarm. She laughed and said it was a great invention. One thing was bothering me. Would my sandwich muffle the bell? Mom must have been wondering the same thing, because she suggested taping a piece of cardboard into the lid that would make a shelf for my sandwich. I did, and that worked too. I can't wait until Monday. Monday, March 5th. Today, Mom packed my lunch carefully, and we tried the alarm to see if it still worked. It did. Good and loud. When I got to school, Mr. Friedley said, "Nice to see you smiling, Lee. You should try it more often." I parked my lunchbox behind the partition and waited. I waited all morning for the alarm to go off. Miss Martinez asked if I had my mind on my work. I pretended I did, but all the time, I was really waiting for my alarm to go off so I could dash back behind the partition and tackle the thief. When nothing happened, I began to worry. Maybe the loop had somehow slipped off the switch on the way to school. Lunchtime came. The alarm still hadn't gone off. We all picked up our lunch boxes and went off to the cafeteria. When I set my box on the table in front of me, I realized I had a big problem. A big problem. If the loop hadn't slipped off the sandwich, my alarm was still triggered. I just sat there staring at my lunchbox, not knowing what to do. "How come you're not eating?" Barry asked with his mouth full. Barry's sandwiches are never cut in half, and he always takes a big bite out of one side to start. Everybody at the table was looking at me. I thought about saying I wasn't hungry, but I was. I thought about taking my lunchbox out into the hall to open it, but if the alarm was still triggered, there was no way I could open it quietly. Finally, I thought, here goes. I unsnapped the 2 fasteners on the box and held my breath as I opened the lid. Wow! My alarm went off. The noise was so loud it startled everyone at the table, including me, and made everyone in the cafeteria look around. I looked up and saw Mr. Friedley grinning at me over by the garbage can. Then I turned off the alarm. Suddenly, everyone seemed to be noticing me. The principal, who always prowls around keeping an eye on things at lunchtime, came over to examine my lunchbox. He said, "That's quite an invention you have there." "Thanks," I said, pleased that the principal seemed to like my alarm. Some of the teachers came out of their lunchroom to see what the noise was all about. I had to give a demonstration. It seems I wasn't the only one who had things stolen from my lunch. And all the kids said they wanted lunch boxes with alarms too, even those whose lunches were never good enough to have anything stolen. Barry said he would like an alarm like that on the door of his home, of his room at home. I began to feel like some sort of hero. Maybe I'm not so medium after all. One thing bothers me though. I still don't know who's been robbing my lunch. Tuesday, March 6th. Today, Barry asked me to come home with him to see if I could help him rig up a burglar alarm for his room because he has a bunch of little sisters and stepsisters who get into his stuff. I thought I could, well, because I had seen an alarm like that in one of the electricity books from the library. Barry lives in a big old house that is sort of cheerful and messy with little girls all over the place. As it turned out, Barry didn't have the right kind of battery, so we just fooled around looking at his models. Barry never uses directions when he puts models together because the directions are too hard and they spoil the fun. He throws them away and figures out how the pieces fit by themselves. I still don't know what to write for young writers, but I was feeling so good, I finally wrote to Dad to thank him for $20 because I had found a good use for it, even if I couldn't save it all toward a typewriter. I didn't say much. I wonder if Dad will marry the pizza boy and his mother. I worry about that a lot. We're going to stop there. I'm going to post a few questions to make sure you got all the important things out of this chapter, and then we will continue. Please answer the questions by the due date. See you 6:30. Have a great day. If no one told you today, you're loved, you're missed, you're important. Bye.